extreme view that data center is bad and there's an extreme view that data center is good. So it's important to have conversations with people who believe that data centers are not good. Like, why do they believe that?
An excellent question, sir. Why do people believe that?
Perhaps because the government didn't go through the process of informing its citizens.
The data center project was announced, land was allocated, agreements were signed, and construction also began. All this happened before a single public consultation was held with the people of the city. If the government genuinely wanted to understand why citizens are concerned, it had every opportunity to find out before breaking ground.
Few examples of the US is a bad example for us in the country because we have one nation, one grid, which the US doesn't have.
The minister says that the United States is a bad example because of the grid structure. But here we are talking about water, not the grid. One nation, one grid has nothing to do with how much water the data centers will consume.
If you look at water, close to 3,000 TMCs of Godavari water flows into the sea every year. That's equivalent to the water consumption of whole of Vietnam, the whole of Brazil.
Interesting statistics, but not relevant. The minister is telling us that 3,000 TMC flows from the Godavari into the sea every year. The Godavari is nearly 200 kilometers from Visakhapatnam. The water does not come to the city on its own. Someone has to plan, fund, and build the infrastructure to bring it here. Who will do that? At what cost? Who will get the priority? The data centers or the farmers and the households and the industry? None of that is explained.
And are we thinking of the whole ecosystem where the river empties into the sea?
The 6.5 gigawatts that we intend to build out in data center requires 1 TMC. So in comparison, a 1 gigawatt thermal plant consumes 7 times more water than 1 gigawatt data center. So all of us are talking about the data center, but no one's talking about the thermal plant. Like, just to put things in context.
This comparison deserves careful examination. A thermal plant produces electricity for millions of homes and industries. A data center consumes that electricity and then requires additional water on top of that to cool itself. These are not comparable items. Saying a data center uses less water than a thermal plant is saying that a car uses less fuel than the refinery that made the fuel for it. The minister is comparing production with consumption. We are talking about the data center precisely because the government has not told us which cooling technology will be used. Will it be evaporative cooling, which is extremely water intensive? Will it be air cooling, a hybrid? The government has cited 1 TMC of water for 6.5 gigawatts. Independent estimates, including figures cited by UN agencies, suggest that the single gigawatt of data center capacity can consume over 8 billion liters of water per year.
For 6.5 gigawatts, that works out to nearly 1.9 TMC, almost double of what is estimated earlier.
The government's own figure needs to be explained and verified.
It's important to have this conversation with the youngsters because it's their future, and rightfully so. They should have a voice at the table.
We welcome the sentiment completely, but let us be honest about what has happened. Agreements with data center companies have been signed under non-disclosure agreement. Environment clearance processes have not been publicly shared. Citizens and civil society organizations have written to the government and received no response. If the government truly believes in open conversation, it should begin by making the project documents public.
With them. So my member of parliament, who represents that parliament where all the data centers are coming up in Visakhapatnam, is meeting with all these young. He's having an open conversation with them to understand what's their fears. And then how can we sort of learn from it, and if there's any zoning or anything that needs to be further fine-tuned, we're willing to do that. But it's important to bring all of them across the table and give them a voice.
The minister's intention to engage is noted, and we are glad that he's willing to have this conversation. But a conversation requires both sides to share facts. We are still waiting for answers to some basic questions. What cooling technology will be used? How much water exactly? From where? Through what infrastructure? Who bears the cost? What environmental clearances have been obtained and which have been violated? The Godavari has not been waiting for our data centers. The people of Visakhapatnam, however, have been waiting for honest answers for quite some time now.
The people of Vizag have several concerns, not only about the water, but about electricity consumption and the rise in temperature where these mega centers come up. All this needs to be discussed.